It was a dark and chilly Halloween night, and my big brother and I had just finished our rounds of trick-or-treating. The clock had ticked past midnight as we made our way back home, and the streets were eerily empty. Just ahead, there was a house we'd passed several times before Halloween, one that stood out from the rest with its over-the-top decorations. This particular house had all its lights off, and it had been a while since we'd seen another person on the streets, maybe a good 45 minutes. My curiosity got the best of me, and we decided to take a closer look at the decorations. We thought we'd seen it all, but there was one decoration we hadn't noticed before. There, near a window, was a clown figure that seemed absolutely enormous to my 8-year-old self. It towered above us, at least twice my height and 4 times my width. At first, its head was turned away, facing the window. But then, something incredibly unsettling happened. As we stared at it in awe and disbelief, the clown's head slowly turned towards us, locking eyes with us. My brother and I exchanged a glance that screamed, "We need to get out of here, and we need to do it now." We sprinted back to the sidewalk, our hearts pounding in our chests. Just as we reached the sidewalk, we both swore we heard a faint, hysterical laughter echoing from the direction of the clown. It was the kind of laughter you'd expect from a clown in a creepy horror movie. Needless to say, we practically ran back home, talking about how this was, hands down, the creepiest Halloween decoration we'd ever encountered. The next morning, fueled by a mix of curiosity and bravery, I convinced my older brother to go back and check out the clown in broad daylight. We couldn't get out until around noon after lunch, but we were determined to see it again. As we approached the house, our hearts sank. The decorations had been partially taken down and there was no trace of the clown. We figured that maybe the neighbor had decided to take down some decorations to get a head start. Years passed, and I had nearly forgotten about that encounter. Fast forward to when I was around 15, and my family had become friends with the neighbor who lived in that house. One fall evening, we were all gathered there, watching a football game, and their Halloween decorations were up as usual. Feeling a bit nostalgic, I decided to bring up the clown decoration. As I tried to describe it to our neighbor, his face grew increasingly puzzled. He told me that there couldn't have been a clown among his decorations. You see, his wife had a deep-seated fear of clowns from her childhood that had never really gone away. To accommodate her, they had a strict no clowns rule when it came to Halloween decorations. She was fine with haunted houses and other spooky stuff, but clowns were a hard no. I asked if maybe he had tried to prank her with the clown decoration to get a good laugh, but he assured me that he had never done such a thing, as he wanted to respect her wishes. That left me utterly perplexed. What my brother and I had seen that Halloween night didn't fit into any rational explanation. So I've been a mailman for years, and let me tell you, I've had my fair share of odd encounters on the job. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared me for the experience I'm about to share with you, a Halloween morning that turned into a real-life nightmare. It was a crisp and chilly Halloween morning, the kind that gets your skin tingling with a mix of excitement and shivers. I was out on my usual mail route, delivering envelopes and packages to the friendly faces in my neighborhood. Little did I know that this particular day would be different from any other. As I made my way through the familiar streets, I couldn't help but admire the creative Halloween decorations that adorned the houses. Spooky pumpkins, eerie skeletons, and cobweb-covered porches were all around, setting the perfect holiday mood. Everything seemed just as it should be on Halloween, until I reached one particular house. As I approached, I couldn't help but notice a figure sitting on the porch steps. At first glance, I assumed it was an incredibly realistic Halloween decoration, something straight out of a horror movie. It was a life-sized body, or at least that's what it looked like. It had pale skin and its limbs were in an unnatural pose. I chuckled to myself, thinking that the homeowner had gone above and beyond to create a truly terrifying display. With a mix of amusement and admiration for their dedication to the holiday spirit, I carefully sidestepped the decoration and continued on with my mail deliveries. I couldn't help but wonder how they had pulled off such a realistic-looking prop. It wasn't until later that day that the truth hit me like a freight train. I was at the local post office when I overheard hushed conversations among my coworkers. They were talking about the very house I had visited earlier, the one with the lifelike decoration on the porch. As I listened in, my heart sank. It turned out that the decoration I had so casually dismissed was, in fact, a real person. A person who had collapsed and died alone on their porch steps, probably in the cold of the night. The shock and horror of that revelation sent shivers down my spine. I couldn't believe it. I had mistaken a human being in distress for a Halloween decoration. The guilt washed over me like a tidal wave, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I could have done something to help if only I had realized the truth sooner. The incident weighs heavily on my conscience, haunting me long after Halloween had passed. I still feel incredible remorse for what had happened and decided to change careers. It was a regular night, and I was in the kitchen, doing the dishes. The dimly lit room was a haven of peace, and I was lost in my thoughts, scrubbing away at the dirty plates and utensils. The only sounds were the occasional clink of dishes and the gentle hum of the refrigerator. And then, out of nowhere, the quiet was shattered by the sound of sirens in the distance, growing closer and closer with each passing moment. It was a dead-of-night scenario, making the wailing sirens all the more jarring. My heart started to race as I wondered what could be happening outside. Naturally, my curiosity got the better of me. I put down the dish I was cleaning and made my way to the window, opening the blinds just a bit to peek outside. What I saw next was something I could never have expected. Right there, in my neighbor's front yard, was a man. He wasn't in costume or participating in any Halloween festivities. Instead, he was trying his best to blend in with a row of Halloween decorations that had been set up. The flickering red and blue police lights painted an eerie scene as they passed by my house, lighting up the night in a way that was blinding. The man, desperate and undoubtedly fearing the approaching police, took this moment as his cue to make a run for it. In a flash, he emerged from behind the decorations and dashed into the shadows, disappearing into the night. I couldn't help but stand there in shock as I watched him flee into the darkness. It was an adrenaline-filled moment, one that I couldn't have prepared for, especially in the midst of such a seemingly quiet night. The sirens eventually faded away, and I realized that I had been holding my breath. A few days later, as I sat down to look through Facebook, there, on one of the posts, was an article that revealed the identity of the man I had seen. He had been chased by the police for breaking into a series of cars in our neighborhood, stealing belongings and causing chaos. The article described his actions in detail, and it freaked me out. It was a reminder that danger can lurk right outside our doors, even in the midst of festive Halloween decorations. It was an experience that I'll never forget, and it makes me appreciate the safety of my neighborhood and the importance of being vigilant, even during the most unexpected moments.